Okay guys, quick update for Bitcoin. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this: as long as we are below 22,130, I would remain short. You can see your current resistance on the G1 chart is 21,900. If we continue down, I'm going to give you the downside targets. I do think it is possible we could get a pump. It will be the last pump before that final crash that I've been talking about. I'll give you that exact upside target as well. I have a lot to cover here. I hope you watched it all the way through. If you watched the previous video all the way through, you knew exactly where to short. So guys, if you do want to access these charts, you can on the website, pin in first comment description. If you use my Bitget affiliate links, also pin in first comment description as well. And if you would like to pay with USDT, you can, but you need to email me through the website. So if you watched yesterday's video, it was an emergency video. It said crash only days away. So if you watched it, I told you exactly where to short. I'll put a link to this video now if you want to check it out. Listen to what I said. That was a point too long. And now your point to potentially short is 23,000. So in the H1 chart, I gave you your exact point to short was 23,000. This is the same chart in the video before that where I told you to short, and we're too long. So you can see how this played out. We hit 23,000 and we dropped. This is further into the video. I was explaining exactly how to know if we'd break up from this falling wedge or if we get rejected and come back down. I'm not going to play this, but basically I said if we get above this white line and hold support, the probability of pushing up was much higher. If we're below this white line, then the chances are it's more likely we'd break to the downside, and I already gave you your support level. You can see how this played out. We were underneath this trend line, and we were underneath this red line here, which told me that it was bearish. Notice the meat of the candle was below. We got this little fake out to the red line and got rejected. That's why I said, if you have access to the charts and you know how to play them, which I do guide you, you knew that as long as you're below this point, we were coming down, and that is how it played out. And your support level was already mapped out. And guys, if you do sign up to get access to the charts, you also get access to Discord and Twitter, where I keep you guys updated hourly. Right here, I said according to my chart, bearish. That's what I was talking about in the previous video. As long as you're below this point, that means that we're going to have a drop, because this is a very key support and resistance level. Had we been above this point, then we would have broken to the upside. But since we were below, that's why I said bearish. And then I kept you guys updated. I told you the point to short that I mentioned in the video, 23,000. That was very strong resistance. You got double resistance. You got this gray line resistance, and you had this very strong resistance level on the H1 chart. And then I make other tweets, guys, showing you how to play it. So guys, if you do get access, again, you get access to our Discord. People are here 24/7. Let me go into live trades right here. These are people that played the call. A lot of happy people. 125 times leverage, 45%, 92%, 158, 40 times leverage, 110%, 20 times leverage, 107, 225. Wow, 100 times leverage, 101%, or 201%, 105%, 572%, 125 times leverage. And this is a great thing about, when you took that short at 23K, it was to the dollar. So you set your stop like 50 bucks above it. So even if you get stopped out, you lose a small amount, but the gains are just insane. 40 times leverage, 313%, 100%, 959%, 100 times leverage. So everybody's pretty happy. 500%, 50 times. So that played out really well. So again, my goal is to help you find the best entry to long and short. And if you do want to get into leverage trading, guys, if you haven't tried it, I suggest you try Bitget. I do like their platform. I've had no issues with them. You can do up to 125 times leverage. But again, guys, if you do not practice risk management, you can lose money. So I do have a tutorial showing you how to do simulated trades. They have an option, you go to simulated trades, to give you fake money. It's like $3,000 worth of SUSDT, so you can practice longing and shorting, setting a stop loss where you feel comfortable, and then when you're ready to actually trade with real money, you can. But I'll put a link up to that tutorial if you want to check it out now. Remember, my Bitget affiliate links pinned in the first comment description. So let me cover all this, guys. So currently, and again, I have a lot of charts to cover. I'm going to give you all the possible scenarios so you know what to expect and how this can play out. The reason I'm saying as long as we're below 22,130 to remain short is because it's possible. Now, I think it's more likely we get a pump. I'm going to cover other charts that will explain why this is the case. But we have to look at all the different scenarios. It's possible this could be some kind of funky head and shoulders, right? This would be our crazy head. This is your left shoulder. This would be your right shoulder. If that is the case, and that's playing out, which you can clearly see, this right here was resistance, right? Support, support, and now we're testing it as resistance. So if that plays out as a head and shoulders, well, typically you go from the head to the neckline, which is this white line right here. If that plays out, that's going to send us down, and the strongest support level I have right now is here. So if we do break down from this pattern, that's why I'm saying stay short from 22,130. That would send us down below this point, but we know that this is very strong support. So your target will be around 20K if we break down and this plays out as head and shoulders. Your next key support just below that is down here around 21,079. You could get a small bounce there, but if this plays out head and shoulders, your downside target is around 20,000. And this is what I call triple support, guys. We've got support here. You got support right here. I mean, that's a lot of support, plus you have this line below. So that's 3 points of support, so that'd be a likely point to jump in for a long. Okay, so that's the head and shoulders scenario. Now, guys, if you've been following along in that last video, I was telling you that it's possible. Now you can see that we're coming down to test this right now. I mentioned this, that this was our resistance, this is our resistance. You push above it, we hold support. This is where people get super bullish, and this is why I'm saying we could have some upside. But because of this P1 chart, which don't forget, this P1 chart is predicting that we're going to have a drop very soon to some much lower targets. But what I would like to point out is we already know where the potential top is if we push up. You notice these white lines right here? Notice that the wick touches here, it touches here. Notice the meat of the candle is right, it's exactly this trajectory that the price is following. When I created this fib channel chart, it's just magical how well price is respecting this trajectory. The resistance, resistance, and drop, right? Same thing right here. Look at all these wicks. Resistance, 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 drop. Same thing here. Resistance, 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 drop. So what I'm telling you is we already know if we push up the highest point we can go. So right now, our current support is here, which we're holding, right? Previous resistance flipped as support. So 21,920 is your support. Well, we know if we push up, and I'll show you the A1 chart. I copied these lines onto that chart so you can see it on the smaller time frame. So we know that your first major resistance, right? We know for a fact is around 22,300. And if you get access to the charts, if it's red, it means short. If it's green, it means long. So 22,334, right? That's your first major resistance. Now the thing is, the reason I have these different lines, yellow, orange, red, and white, is because we don't know how far we'll push up. If you go back and look here, you can see the meat of the candle is pretty much right here, but the top of the wicks are up here. So that's why I'm giving you different points to know potentially. Like right here, we got a wick all the way up, right? But the next time it pushed up, it didn't push up to the wick. It was just the meat of the candle. Right here, it was the actual wick. So that's why I'm giving you all of these different points to pay attention to. But we do have an idea. So the main thing we could get from this, if we do get one major pump, right, the final bull trap, well, the highest point will go based on this chart and how price is respecting the angle of these lines. The highest you can go before you get a dump would be 23,500. If it's out here, 23,357. So that is the highest point I see us going before we get that next major crash. And again, that's what I'm showing you. If you got this wick here, so another point to watch would be around potentially 23,000. And we know that this is the meat of the candle, so if it plays out like I previously showed you, where it's just the meat of the candle would be your resistance, then that would put your resistance here around potentially 22,786, and that is pretty close to where the resistance would be for the 200-week moving average. So again, the P1 chart is critical for knowing where the top is, but if we do get a pump, the final trap will be one of these potential resistance levels. But either way, once we get up to this point, if you do pump, I'm expecting a major crash. Let's go on. This is the M1 chart, and I said this in the previous video, that if we that this was your major resistance to watch, and we could not get above it, 22,887. And just like I showed you previously, if we get a major dump, I was telling you around 20K. Well, we know based on this chart that 20,160 is going to be very strong support. Just below us is around 20,091. So that previous chart I showed you. Let me go back right here. Hold on. This chart. So that head and shoulders target right here, 20,066. That's what I'm saying. We know based on all of these different charts that 20,000 is the next point too long. Again, that's what I'm saying. If we drop down and that does play out as head and shoulders, your next point too long is 20,091. If that breaks, then those targets I gave you way down below will come into play, which I do think it will. The question is, are we going to have a straight drop or are we going to push up? But you know what to pay attention to. You know that if we continue down, as long as we're below 22,130, remain short. If we get above and hold support, then you know that one of these points will play out. But you know, based on this chart, the highest we can go is 23,000. Well, again, 23,600, potentially 23,500. That's where I'm going to heavy short, expecting that next major leg down. Okay, so that covers these charts. The Dow Jones. So this comes into play as well as the DXY. Guys, I don't just chart Bitcoin, I chart the indices also. We know, or at least I know based on this chart, that this is a top for the Dow. Currently, the Dow is up 185 points, which means, look, if the indices are up, typically Bitcoin will push up as well. So we could have some upside, but we know the highest point the Dow will go based on my chart. 32,400 is the top for the Dow. And this is that same orange ring, right? This ring right here, this is that same ring. And this chart has been amazing for calling tops. This called the top for the COVID crash, 29,584. We bottomed at this orange ring at 18,841. Another top at 29,077. Another perfect support level. This red line right here is, I think, the next bottom for the Dow. Notice I have this line right here. A lot of influence for this point. Notice this ring called the top for the Dow. This next ring below called the next top. And I'm telling you, we've already got rejected from it. We could have some upside, but what I'm trying to point out, rings are points for reversals. So I think the Dow is already topped out, which means the indices typically move together. So I'm saying we have a lot of downside. This is why I'm expecting that next major crash for Bitcoin, because the indices have a lot of downside as well. So that's what I'm saying. People are getting bullish on Bitcoin, saying the bottom's in. I'm telling you that we know Bitcoin follows the indices. So if the Dow's topped out, the NASDAQ and the S&P are topped out, we are coming down, and this is the next major support for the Dow. So if we have this much of a drop, Bitcoin's going to crash. That's why I'm very adamant that we're going to have a crash at Bitcoin. The DXY, currently we're holding support right here at 106. Remember, the DXY is inversely correlated with Bitcoin. So if the DXY is coming down, Bitcoin's going to push up. So if the DXY breaks 106, your next major support is 104. So if you start seeing the DXY come down, go long on Bitcoin. Your next major resistance up here is 107. So if the DXY starts pushing up, Bitcoin's going to come down. If we get rejected here and the DXY starts coming down, Bitcoin's going to push up. So guys, follow the US dollar and follow the indices. This is the C1 chart. You can just kind of see how this works out, guys. You can go back and you can see where your support and resistance levels are. You know that this has been a lot of support and resistance. You know that this line also has been a lot of support and resistance. So right there is another target potentially for a bounce. Right around, let me make this bigger so you can see it. So this is 21,252 down to 21,100 to catch a bounce. This is more for swing trading. You can see your strongest resistance right now is right here at 22,400. Your next major resistance above that is right here at 23,282. So these are points you can swing trade. This right here is the Q1 chart. Notice we got rejected at 22,737. So the next point to get rejected potentially is 22,788. And guys, pay attention to what I'm saying. This right here, you got a lot of resistance up here, 23,558 up to potentially 23,785. So we know this is potentially that top point that I was showing you on this chart. Right, so and this is the A1 chart. I copy those lines in. Notice this yellow line here is actually this line right here. So I got a lot of charts up. Hold on. Okay, so this line right here. All right, sorry about that, guys. So this line, this yellow line, let's say I took all of these lines on the P1 chart and put them on the A1 chart. So this is your current critical resistance, right? This line on the P1 chart. But you can see right here, 22,787, right? That could be a potential top. This is where the meat of the candle is. So if we push up, that could be the highest point we go right here. We're on 22,800, and that is on par. Look, 22,800. If we push above that, well, remember I said the top would be 23,566? Well, let's go back to this chart. Right here, 23,500. So we know potentially where the top is. It's going to be either here, So we can probably get rid of this. So we know 22,800 is the first point to watch for a top for a major rejection, where the meat of the candle is. If we get above that, 23,500 is the absolute top before the next major crash. So guys, I hope that makes sense. Just pay attention, load up the charts if you have access, and remember, I will guide you on Twitter and in Discord how to play these. If you do want to access these charts, guys, the website is offroadcrypto.com. Link will be pinned in the first comment and description. For $49 a month, get access to Bitcoin charts, altcoin charts, Discord, and Twitter. And remember, if you want to pay with USDT, you can email me through the website. Guys, that's pretty much it. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.